whiskey. I hope you enjoyed that. We've quite a few other ones to get through, so we're going to be tasting our Method Madness single malt French Limousin. So single grain was a pretty big deal for us to release. Single malt also was a bit of a surprise for some people. So Kevin, do you want to tell us a little bit about single malt?
Yeah, so this is probably our first single malt release from Midleton with many years. Again, back in 2017 when we brought it out. So I suppose the makeup of this whiskey is that, first of all, it's a single malt, so it's 100% malted barley. It's triple distilled in copper pot stills. Mm-hmm. And then initially it was filled into American bourbon barrels. And it spent the, I suppose, initial maturation period maturing in American oak, American bourbon. And then what we did is that we, after about maybe 14 years maturation, we took some of those barrels and we recast it into French Limousin oak for about just over 12 months. And then after that 12 months period, we put all the barrels together. So you have the American bourbon barrels, you have this parcel of French Limousin as well, put it all together to give you Method of Madness single malt. So age-wise, it's over 15 years. And I suppose the use of the French Limousin was really interesting. In France, there's different regions for growing oak, and it all depends on the climate, the topography, in terms of what type of oak you get. So you have something like Tronchet, which is really fine-grained, quite a dense oak. And then in Limousin, you have different growing conditions, which makes it a little bit more open, a little bit less dense, giving you a different flavour profile as well.
It would be kind of south-central sort of?
Yeah, it's kind of south-central, yeah. Sort of over from the Cognac region. It's kind of, sort of east of the Cognac region,
and
south-central.
Do you know what this oak would traditionally be used for in France?
They would use it in the wines, and certainly in Cognac, Armagnac. They'd use quite a lot of Limousin oak. And the region of Limousin, that whole region, is famous for, first of all, it's oak. Also cattle, Limousin cattle, and you have porcelain as well. So it's famous for a lot of things, but I think it's Limousin oak is really what it's very
the region is kind of around the Massif Central there in France, so it's conducive for growing conditions. So you look at the different periods of oak, spring wood, summer wood, when you're looking at a ring, but really all year round, you don't have these high intense temperatures that restrict the growth, and same with the winter. It's not very cool, so again it's not constricted. So hence why I suppose it's known for its wide grain. Similar to Irish oak, again, our environment is conducive for those type of growing conditions, and it's interesting how it can I suppose affect the flavours that's imparts onto the whiskey, because it is open pore, so there's a lot of wood extracted that can come out of it, and fairly quickly as well.
So we have a nose?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, malt, mixture of American bourbon barrels, and then you have what I call an enhancement with the French Limousin. I think the important thing here as well, Joe, is that it's the combination of that American oak bourbon and the Limousin. We didn't go for 100% Limousin finish. Mm-hmm. We wanted a parcel of it.
It's the balance.
It's just getting the balance right. So on the nose, first of all, in terms of the malt whiskey, you get that typical biscuity, cereally, malted note coming through. And then it goes into you have some herbal notes there, a little bit of mown hay, touch of cut grass, maybe a little bit of mint as well.
I definitely get like a little bit of a herbal character, a little bit of a green character coming across on the nose.
And you get that sort of biscuity, caramel, toffee note as well coming through, which is typical of the malt. So look, we have a taste. Just launch it. And again, back when we started working with the French oak a number of years ago, Finbar, the differences in flavour profile from the different regions in France is very interesting. And maybe later on we get a chance to talk about that. And Tronchet oak, Vogue, Allier, and then you've Limousin as well. So each region has very distinct flavour profile coming from.
Because the climate is so different.
The climate is so different. The topography, the altitude, different growing conditions. It's very different. Taste-wise, again, I get that sort of biscuity, lovely cereal, kind of a touch of sweetness coming through, a little bit of toffee.
This one I get quite a lot of fruit. Not so much initially, but on the finish, this lovely kind of like jammy red fruit character almost. It actually reminds me of eating when I was younger, like red fruit pastels with that lovely sweet jammy character.
There's a little bit of banana there as well coming in, banana, the kiwi, and so maybe a little bit of grapefruit coming through at the end.
Yeah, a bit of tropical fruit there.
Just seen someone said getting a real ice cream sandwich vibe off the nose of this one. Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. That kind of vanilla and biscuity character.
Creme brulee is the term that's used as well, so there's a creme brulee kind of note to it.
Yeah, you're on the ball there, Tom.
Very good.
Lovely. So guys, hope you've enjoyed that one. And like I said, keep your thoughts coming in into the